a sad day for everyone. This is how it affected my own. Where were you when the planes crashed?
I was living in Burbank, California.
What were you doing when this happened?
Because there's a 3-hour time difference, I was still sleeping. It was 6 a.m. in the morning in California when the planes crashed.
Well, what time did you usually get up?
That day, actually, I was home from work. I had just come back from visiting out here. I got home 3 days before 9/11. So I was still technically on my vacation, so I was sleeping in.
How were you feeling?
It was very emotional. When I found out that something happened, all we knew at the time was that somebody attacked the United States. We didn't know a whole lot when they first announced it. As the day went on, it was a very emotional, trying day. A lot of tears from everybody. Seeing people in the streets just running around trying to get to safety. It was a very emotional day. I personally did a lot of crying watching these people having to suffer.
How did you find out about this event?
I got a phone call that woke me up from Auntie Jewel telling me that all she heard on the news on the radio was that somebody blew up a building in New York. And that's when I put the TV on to find out what was going on.
What was your biggest fear when you found out about this attack?
When I first found out, the fear was not knowing what truly happened, not understanding what happened. And I don't think I ever did understand what happened because they blew up a building that had so many lives in it. And my biggest fear was just not understanding how somebody could do this to the United States and do this to other human beings.
So I know that all your family was in New England. How did you feel about that?
It was scary. It was very scary not knowing where everybody was, what was going on. At the time, you and your sister were both very small, so it was scary thinking that it could happen so close to home, so close to your home where you were. I was 3,000 miles away, and I didn't know what was going on this side of the world, where you were, where Mommy was, where any of my family were when all of this happened. And New York is not that far away, and if it could happen that close to New Hampshire, if they could do this to New York, why couldn't they do this in New Hampshire as well? So my biggest fear was, how is this going to affect my family?
Like, what are they going to do next?
Right, right. Because after that is when the Pentagon got hit. And I had a friend in the Pentagon who I did not know where her location was in the Pentagon. It took me days to find out where she was, that she was safe.
You couldn't call her because...
I couldn't call her. I couldn't get through. I couldn't find her. Tried to track down friends that we all knew that might know where she was, and nobody knew where she was. It took us probably about 6 days before we found out that she was safe.
Was she in the building when it happened?
She was in the Pentagon building when it happened. But she did get out safely. But they weren't releasing any names right away of where people were and who was safe and who wasn't. And that was a scary time. It was a long time before. 6 days felt a lot longer than it really was when you're waiting to find out if somebody that you care about is okay.
Did you go to work the next day, or did you...
I did go to work the next day.
You
But
were
the day that it happened, I was home all day with the TV on the whole time. I never left the TV. I needed to know what was going on. The need to understand was very strong for me. I needed to understand what happened and how somebody could do this. And I don't think we ever will understand. I don't think anybody can ever understand it.
What do you think the biggest change in America is since this tragic event?
The biggest change in America, I think, has opened our eyes that we are vulnerable. That at any given time something could happen. And it changed. When it first happened, people traveled differently. They wouldn't fly anymore. We were all afraid to go anywhere. More people were driving on vacations instead of flying. The way that we flew was different. It was hard for me because to get to New Hampshire from California, the easiest way was to fly. And they changed the security procedures, and they continue to change them even to this day as to how you get into the airport, the security checkpoints you go through once you're in the airport, them looking through your luggage. It's changed the perspective of safety, how safe we truly are in our own country.